Gentleman from Florida, Mr. Bilirakis, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate you holding this hearing. And I'm glad that for the most part, it's a bipartisan hearing, and this is a major issue. I can't think of a more important issue to tackle. But I want to start with Mr. Doherty, if that's okay. A lot has been written again about the Ensuring Patient Access and Effective Drug Enforcement Act. I want to take the opportunity to ask you a couple questions. Yes and no, please, because of time. Was DEA part of the negotiation for the final language of this particular bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did DEA recommend that President Obama veto the bill?
No, sir.
Okay. Has DEA made any communication to this committee, this particular committee, Energy and Commerce Committee, about the need to change statute?
Not to my knowledge, sir, no.
Did DEA include any requested statutory changes in their budget submission this year dealing with this particular law?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Okay. Has DEA's ability to enforce our nation's drug laws been compromised because of the passage of this particular bill?
This changes the way we look at the ISO, sir, but we use an array of other tools.
All right, let me ask you this briefly because I have other questions. Give us suggestions, talk to us. We want to do the right thing. Everyone on this panel wants to do the right thing and solve this public health crisis. I commend the President for addressing it tomorrow as well. So please, give us suggestions. We need to know the tools that you need to handle this. We're on the same team with regard to this. So please, I want you to respond to me personally, but I'm sure every member of the committee, particularly the chairman, would like a response as well. Okay, Dr. McCants-Katz, currently there isn't a clear standard for medication-assisted treatment, MAT, prescribing, and we've heard reports of an increasing number of rogue actors offering MAT. In many cases, these pop-up clinics actively recruit vulnerable client populations, provide substandard service with minimal oversight. While we support consumer choice and market competition, we also want to balance this with the consumer safeguards to ensure that this problem improves and not worsens. So we need to solve this, and that bad actors are not rewarded via federal dollars. Additionally, questions have been raised as to whether states are requiring evidence-based practices to be used in the STR grant program. What is SAMHSA? The question is, what is SAMHSA doing to ensure rogue actors are not the recipient of federal dollars and evidence-based practices are being used so that the funds expended go to providing the best possible treatment and recovery services?
So, as I mentioned earlier, we have a program in place to review the state plans. The states make the decisions about what providers in their states they wish to fund with dollars that SAMHSA has oversight for, and we assist them with determining and making sure that evidence-based practices are being used. In terms of the kinds of rogue providers that you mentioned, SAMHSA has purview over a couple of things. One, we regulate opioid treatment programs, and two, we also certify physicians and other practitioners named in law that can provide office-based treatment of opioid use disorder, nurse practitioners, physician assistants. So we regulate and manage that. However, we do not have any jurisdiction over these other types of providers within states. What we do is we try to inform states about what constitutes best practices so that they can decide how they want to regulate within their boundaries.
Thank you. A question for Commissioner Gottlieb. Last August, FDA authorized a blog post titled, "FDA Supports Greater Access to Naloxone to Help Reduce Opioid Overdose Deaths." I know you're familiar with that. Can you provide this committee with an update on the development of any over-the-counter version of naloxone?
We've had conversations with a number of sponsors about bringing naloxone over the counter, and as you know, we're working on an actual use study where we would, I think for the first time, actually publish in the Federal Register the specifications, the scientific specifications on how a sponsor could demonstrate that a product can be properly labeled for the purposes of bringing it over the counter. So rather than putting the obligation on the sponsors to go out and do that study, we would proactively, effectively publish the specifications that they can follow to help facilitate more rapid entry of an OTC alternative into the marketplace. So we're fully committed to that and working pretty actively on it.
I appreciate it. Please, we need to work together and solve this problem. It's a real crisis in this country. Thank you very much, and I yield back.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes